Hello, I'm Aubrey Shepherd. It's baseball season now, even though the Razorbacks aren't playing anymore. So get out and see a Naturals game. Hope by the time you see this, you'll have had a great 4th of July, a safe 4th of July. The fireworks have been pretty crazy around my neighborhood on the weekend before it was legal at all inside our city. And police were running around trying to settle them down. This is a site that's going to be developed very soon. And you see these things have been put up, and there's only one small stretch that's actually got any trees protected. The trees that you've seen at your left, I'm not sure about the right, may be okay, but there's 3 different batches of trees in that area, and they're all going to come out. They're in the lowest corner of that prairie land out off Weddington Drive at I-540, and that's a wet prairie. They recently mowed it, so you couldn't see the wildflowers, except in and around under the trees. There's some sedge growing out there, and you can see the prairie that's going to be destroyed in the background. And these were all photos made on the 1st of July, 2013, in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So it's pretty hard to explain to some people why. This is looking toward that from the other way. Anyway, here's a place that people are restoring prairie. This is a good news thing. Unity Church is one of the places in town where prairie land's being restored. And I talked to them about 3 or 4 years ago, and they started doing this, and now they've got a rain garden sign. I can say a lot about rain gardens because they're talking about replacement soil. If you start with one of these native prairie lots and you don't change the soil, then the lowest part of it is where you want what you call a natural rain garden. But an artificially constructed one like this is useful, particularly in places where you already have bad soil and you just have to fit it in. Okay, passion flowers have been in bloom for a couple of weeks at World Peace Wetland Prairie and other prairie restoration sites, such as the one we were talking about out there at Unity Church. And you can see some of their, well, we call them yellow composites. There are various kinds of rudbeckia, coneflowers, the yellow coneflowers, and so forth. Okay, we're at another site on Weddington Drive, and you can see that the land there, well, at left you see big trees. At right, toward the top, in this looking north on Rupert Road to MLK, you see the piles of trees that have been bulldozed and the ground's been dug out. Well, that tree protection area at right in this picture looking west shows you what they've set up trying to, well, they're not doing a very good job. I know it's going to run off from there, but anyhow, they're doing the minimum the law requires to protect the watershed. But it's just so sad looking across there. You can see up there. And here's a man who's working, trying to get his water system, automatic water system at the bank just across the street from that new Walgreens store site. And that's looking south on Rupert Road. See that? You think, well, why did they put that big wide sidewalk or trail out there so far from the street? Well, it's because it's going to be widened, so they're going to have another lane or two in there. That explains it. But it's fake green space. And that's pretty much true in the pictures we're looking at right here. This work site on at 6th Street in the background, we're on 7th Street, and that house, they just stopped working on it for the last week or two, and I'm not sure why, but it's one of those things built on an infill lot. Now we're seeing a carpenter bee, which is of course very much like the rest of the bumblebee family, but it's unique with that solid black body, and it's of course a beautiful, important pollinator for the various species that it prefers, and passion flower is one of its favorites. And I think a week ago we talked about some other things it likes, like Baptisia species. Till next time, Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure and the woods green. See ya. Hello, Aubrey Shepherd on the 1st of July 2013. Let's see a few photos from Fayetteville, Arkansas. This is on something that's some call Sweetser Prairie, and others call it Kitty Creek Prairie. Anyway, it's almost out to Zion Road in north, sort of northeast Fayetteville, and it's a relatively flat area. These are also some of the Rudbeckia yellow coneflowers, distinct from Echinacea, which is the purple coneflower, and similar relatives. But they all have the same effect. They tend to droop, and they're yellow composite flowers. And you see there's some other species of yellow composites on this slideshow. So there's one. And notice those appear to act like coneflowers also. And I'm not sure which species they are at the moment. Didn't have time to look them up and study them. But they have some very gaudy foliage. It looks like some big tough grass. But that's mostly rattlesnake master. That's out there at Kitty Creek Prairie. And this area is not officially protected, but it's surrounded by housing and some apartment buildings and some housing in single-family neighborhoods that are quite nice surrounding it. So people do get to enjoy these wildflowers, and it's just the hope that they won't mow this down before winter. If you mow it in winter, you help keep all these native wildflowers alive and allow them to out-compete the non-native species that also may be growing on that property. Okay, that's a flower fly, not really a bee. Most likely it's just a flower fly, but they do the pollination job, as we've repeated with many other examples we've shown you. And some of those small ones you can't tell easily, and I'll leave it to the experts, or I'll look them up and find them for sure in a book. This is one of the tiny natives that I've shown you from other prairies, never from that particular Kitty Creek Prairie before, but it's a wonderful tiny thing. Okay, this is another example of a little beauty here that's a green insect and probably a flower fly also. I tried to crop one to make it big, but guess what? It didn't work quite right, but maybe it'll be restored in time so you can see it. But I'll have it online on Flickr, some other sites. But all those tiny pollinators count one, and they're important to the overall health of the food chain worldwide. And there you can see him, and he's on a different one, and it's on one of those things that acts like a coneflower, whatever species it is, and with the rattlesnake masters in the same picture. This is a dragonfly. It's similar to some I've shown you before, but it was out there on Sweetser or Kitty Creek Prairie, and thought I better get one of those. It seems like more people like them than butterflies in some cases. And this, of course, is Asclepias verticillata, some call it world milkweed, but it's the tiniest milkweed plant. You can see the flowers are shaped much like the others. Hey, this is down on MLK, where you're looking toward the university campus and the high school up right, and you see they've just about completed the bridge, which will allow quick and easy access up to the View apartments, where they've had so many problems. 2 men died, and some apartments got flooded. Human waste from the sewage system that they didn't have covered up. Just looking at a few things here, this is, you can see the milkweed there is what's called butterfly weed. It's the Asclepias tuberosa. Until next time, this is Aubrey Shepherd asking you to do your part to help keep the water clean, the air pure, and the woods green. John Rule does his part. See you.